Elections are cancelled. Now, I thought that only dictators cancelled elections, but no, this is the connivance of a now terrified Labour Party.
Breaking right now, Nigel Farage has accused the UK of becoming a dictatorship under the leadership of Keir Starmer after the ruling Labour Party decided to cancel a host of local elections in May, including, surprise, surprise, coincidentally, council areas like Labour-held Thurrock that were almost certain to be taken by the surging Reform UK party, which, by the way, in a new poll today, is now 4 points clear of Labour and the Conservatives. Farage, as I'm sure you can imagine, furious about this.
Elections are cancelled. Now, I thought that only dictators cancelled elections, but no, this is the connivance of a now terrified Labour Party, and boy, didn't we see that today at Prime Minister's questions. And I was being shouted down from all sides. It was almost like old days in the European Parliament. I was thoroughly enjoying myself.
Now, there are a whole load of councils having their elections postponed. Angela Rayner, of course, says, oh, this is because we're restructuring and there was no point of them having their elections. But I think it's very suspicious because there are a lot of big reform targets and big Liberal Democrat targets when you look at the areas. East Sussex, West Sussex, Essex, Hampshire, the Isle of Wight, Norfolk, Suffolk and Surrey. Watch Farage on this.
Despite the fact we're a very happy, optimistic, forward-looking party, we are blimmin' angry this afternoon that 5.5 million people in this country are being denied their vote on May the 1st this year. And we've got counties like Surrey and East Sussex and West Sussex and Suffolk and Hampshire where elections have been cancelled. Where we are particularly aggrieved is in Norfolk, where we did win the seat of Great Yarmouth. Even under first past the post, we still run the seat of Great Yarmouth in the general election. And in Essex, where James McMurdoch and I both managed to win seats in Parliament, where we came second in 5 of the constituencies, and where the opinion polls now put us as favourites to win Essex County Council. But the voters in Essex and Norfolk and Sussex and Hampshire and the Isle of Wight and Thurrock and Suffolk and Norfolk, they will be denied the opportunity to vote on May the 1st this year. The elections are cancelled.
I mean, Charlie Sansom, whatever Labour's argument and whatever Angela Rayner's argument for doing this is, it is a horrifying look. It feels particularly anti-democratic. It makes us seem like a banana republic. Farage is right here, isn't he?
Potentially. I mean, this isn't the first time elections have been postponed. So there was postponement during COVID, which...
Yeah, I don't think that should have happened either.
No, I didn't think it should have happened, but I'm just saying there is a slight precedent for that because there was a health reason. This one, they don't have that get out of jail free card. They probably should go through with it. If the government do want to do local government reorganisation, which they have the power to do anyway, these elections won't change that. The only thing that it would change is perhaps the feeling about the changes that they do want to bring in, because if you do have reform taking councils left, right and centre, then they will have a bigger voice to say, actually, we want to have a say in how you're going to reorganise our areas. We want to have a say in us having a new mayor and, you know, breaking up different areas or combining areas into bigger ones as a whole. And that might be why they're trying to avoid it. Plus, the embarrassment will be that Labour will lose massively less than a year after they took power.
What do you feel about this, Luca Watson? Because I understand that you can always justify cancelling elections. However, there's a political revolution going on in this country. And these elections in May are far, far more meaningful than simply who is elected as councillors. It's going to be about the tectonic plates of British politics shifting. And of course, by cancelling a whole load of these areas that have a particular chance of Lib Dem or Reform UK success, just feels very anti-democratic to me.
Well, I understand people's concerns and why Nigel Farage would obviously be concerned about this. I think a few points. Firstly, Reform still has strongholds where elections will be held in Kent and in Lincolnshire, two areas where they're very, very strong. So they will still have the opportunity to contest elections in areas where they're strong. And secondly, I think this could actually play into Reform's hands because currently they have all the momentum, as you've said. They're the party that seem to be doing the best, now topping the polls. And if that trend continues, if they keep building momentum, they're only going to be in a stronger place come 2026 when these elections will take place instead of taking place in 2025. And so what you could see is that postponing them by a year plays into Reform's hands as they end up with far more councillors doing far better, getting far better results in an extra year's time as opposed to in just a few months' time.
Yeah, exactly. There is no turning off the tap of what is coming. And I mean, look, there's loads of signs that the Uni Party is in trouble and is really terrified. A couple of examples of this, which I want to look at. Firstly, this post from Zia Youssef. I mean, he was lolling at this, the chairman of Reform UK, with an article showing that membership is down 11% for the Labour Party since the election, with Starmer's lot losing a member every 10 minutes. Of course, that is completely counter to the types of membership numbers that Reform UK is receiving. And now we have the first big policy intervention from Kemi Badenoch, the Tory party leader, in terms of immigration. I find this hilarious because do you remember just a few weeks ago, she was saying, oh, you're not going to get any policy announcements from her. But the pressure is on. And Chris Mason, the political editor of the British Bashing Corporation, asked her about the Reform UK Threat Watch. But first, did you know that sleeping less than 6 hours per night doubles the risk of early death? Poor sleep is also linked to obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and a weakened immune system. Now, I've struggled with sleep for a while, actually. I tried everything, but found it difficult to wind down and sometimes lay my head down on that pillow before 2 a.m. And I'm not alone. The CDC reports over 35% of adults in the US sleep less than the recommended 7 hours. Many sleep supplements contain melatonin and other ingredients that cause dependencies, morning grogginess, and actually lose their effectiveness over time. So that's why I now take Evening Being, a brand new product by Verso. After 3 years of protecting the formula, they created a melatonin-free drink mix with clinically studied, patented ingredients. It's formulated to calm an active mind, help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and improve deep and REM sleep, all without creating dependencies or causing morning grogginess. Now, I actually look forward to drinking my Evening Bean every night, not only because it helps me fall asleep faster without having to get up in the middle of the night, but I wake up easier too. And it tastes so good. It's actually become my new nightcap. And don't worry, if you're vegan or on a keto diet, it's absolutely perfect to fit in with all of that. So click the link in the show description or head on over to buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. Try Evening Bean tonight and you'll wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. Let me just repeat the address for you. buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15%. But now, back to the show.
And we need to make sure that we are not creating an automatic right to British citizenship. It is something that's really special.
Are you panicking about Nigel Farage? Because when I speak to plenty of your colleagues privately, they are.
We need to make sure that we understand what is going wrong, and that is that we've just been kicked out of government. The public aren't just going to rush back to us because Labour is doing badly. We knew they'd do badly. We need to rebuild trust with the public. So of course they will put their vote with the protest party.
He's an existential threat, isn't he, to the Conservative Party, Nigel Farage?
Every party is an existential threat to the Conservatives. We are in a competitive political environment, and there's no point complaining about what other people are doing. We have to make sure that we're offering the best product. I think changing the rules to indefinite leave to remain is one of the ways that we can do that.
But Luca, like many 20-somethings, you have been very angry with the Conservative Party on the issue of immigration. You posted after that interview from Priti Patel, we covered it on the show last week, it was a real car crash, and you said, from the Home Secretary who oversaw the creation of the Boris wave, they knew it was in their power to reduce migration, but they chose to increase it to record levels, intentionally breaking their manifesto promises. So can I safely assume that this new policy position from Kemi Badenoch, which is effectively not allowing low-skilled or low-paid people to stay in the country, is going to be easily dismissed by people who look at the damage that party has caused?
Well, yeah, it's one of those policies which is so obvious. You think, no, why is it taking you so long? I mean, not giving British citizenship to people who've come here and committed crimes, I think most people assume that's already the case. So it's a really obvious thing to do. But the problem that Kemi Badenoch's going to have and the Tories have is that every time they announce a policy like this, people will say, well, it's too late now. You had 14 years. You never did anything in those 14 years. You could have done it then. Instead, you did the opposite. You increased migration, made things far worse. And now you're struggling the polls. You start to think, oh, yeah, maybe we shouldn't give citizenship to criminals and stuff like that. It's just too late. And I think the public have got no patience. The Tories have zero credibility. As I said, on every election from 2010 all the way to 2019, they promised to lower migration. Every single time it went up. They have no credibility. And I think Kemi Badenoch is right. They are facing an existential threat. And I think if they do die out, not many people will miss them.
It's really interesting, actually, because, Charlie, and I'll get you to react to this, but firstly, let's just have a watch, because even diehard Conservatives are now making it pretty clear that no matter how much they're described as being far right or you know, whatever the MSM throws at them in terms of extremism, they are no longer prepared to just sit back and go with the status quo. And there was a really interesting call to LBC, the Labour broadcasting company, as I call it. Lewis Goodall of the fake news agents is filling in for the hard left James O'Brien this week. But he was left pretty stumped, actually, by this caller from a real loyal Conservative. And of course, Charlie, you used to be a loyal Conservative too. So I'll get your reaction, but first let's just have a listen.
Even though I do not like Nigel Farage, I'll probably vote for him because we've got hospitals falling apart, not enough doctors, nurses, schools falling apart, roads falling apart, not enough houses. That uncontrolled immigration is starting. We're not about stopping immigration. The country needs migrants, so I accept that. Some of the best people I work with are foreign nationals. But mass uncontrolled migration between 500,000 and 1 million people pound a year coming into the country when we ain't got enough homes for our own people.
Of course, Brian, in order to build those homes, we'll probably need migrants because we don't have enough people, we don't have enough builders and plasterers and all the rest of it. The housing sector have been very clear about that.
No one in their right mind wants to stop migration, even thinks it can be stopped. I'm on about mass uncontrolled migration. I keep getting called far right. I'm not. I'm right wing, always have been. I'm a Tory. But the more we get called the far right, extreme right, the more right we go.
Interesting, isn't it, Charlie? There's a change. And there is a change within Tories too.
There's been a change within the Conservative Party for a very long time. It's just that many of them haven't had the confidence to come out and say it. Now you've got Reform stealing a march. They now are being given that confidence to come forward and say what they really think. What I would say about what Lewis Goodall said is I watched that clip earlier on today and I thought to myself, we're going to need more migrants to build these houses. Well, how many illegals do we actually have in this country? What's the estimate right now currently? And if, you know, we need more migrants, maybe they should stop working for Uber and delivering pizza and get on the building site then, but they don't. So where are they and what are they doing?
Yeah, the thing is that I think all of the parties are seriously concerned now. Because even look at this from The Guardian. Group of Labour MPs urge Number 10 to be tougher on migration to fend off reform. But I guess the question is it too late? And Luca, based on what you said, I imagine you think it is too late for the Uni Party to convince you that they will ever take mass immigration seriously, given you only have to look at the demographic change and just the sheer horror that they have imported, both in terms of the types of people, but also just the sheer numbers over the past 3 decades.
Well, I think it's too late for the Tories. As I said, they've shredded their credibility on this issue. I don't think anyone's going to believe them that, for the 5th time, maybe this time they're being honest. Labour, they're in government. They can actually change things. They have the power. And you mentioned there the fact that some Labour MPs, especially those where reform came second, they can feel the pressure of feeling like it's now time to crack down on migration, bring the numbers down, which is what the vast majority of the British public want. Consistently in polling, it's shown that people want the numbers to come down. So it'd be a policy that's incredibly electorally popular. The question is the Labour Party, are the people in the Labour Party willing to do what the public want, or will they put their ideological motives first and continue on this mass migration experiment?
Well, I think they will pretend that they are not going to continue with the mass migration experiment. However, I just do not trust either Labour or the Conservatives to ever change it. We have been promised by both of those parties for 2 decades now, and it's a complete lie. Everything they told us was just a complete fallacy.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.